So it's currently 3 a.m. and I just got done playing some games, but yeah, I can't really sleep, so I was playing video games. I try to go to sleep after I finish my podcast episode, which you probably listened to it before this one. And I probably won't upload this today. I'll upload it tomorrow. Well, technically it's already tomorrow. I don't know, whatever, it doesn't make sense, but yeah, it's 3 a.m. It is Wednesday, July 8th. So we'll see, maybe I'll upload it tonight at 11 or I will upload it right away. Who knows? I guess it really doesn't matter. I can upload as many as I want, I guess, really in reality. So, I don't know, there's been so much on my mind. And I guess what I really want to talk about, at least right now, is the whole Alinity situation. And that's not really been on my mind, but everything is going to end up tying together. But I've talked about toxicity previously, like a long time ago when I started the podcast. It was one of my first episodes where I talk about, what it means to be toxic, and I guess it's sort of subjective and it's their right to stop people from being toxic, because what someone considers to be toxicity, someone else might not. And to an extent, it's kind of like a broad term because, if you're putting someone else's down, that's obviously toxic, right? But a lot of people don't mean it. A lot of people are just frustrated or whatever, but it still doesn't give the right to someone to say certain things to someone else. And it depends on the certain things that they're saying, right? Like if you're talking about stuff that has nothing to do with the game and you're sending death threats, which is, that's completely not even a toxic thing. That's actually a threat. Like that's completely in a different category. So there's many different ways to view the whole Alinity thing, right? Like from my perspective, there's, whenever she gave vodka to the cat and she threw the cat behind her, and she talked about, let me write these down because like I'm just going off the top of my head and I might say something that's not really, like generally not what she said, most likely, but so I'm just going to wing it, I guess, from what I remember. But I know more or less, let's see, she talked about, people were mad because she threw her cat behind her, right? And also that she gave vodka or some kind of drink, alcohol, which is bad for cats. So she gave that to her cat. And I think there was a situation where people have brought up something about a green card and how she got her papers or green card to be in Canada because she married somebody and then divorced them on purpose. But I don't know the whole story there. Some people say that her boyfriend or her ex cheated on her, but you know how if you tend to just see a clip, it gets thrown out of proportion or out of context because you don't see what the previous version or like what happened before and what happened after. You just see that clip of what people kind of wanted you to see. But I'm still going to get into that. And also another thing about Alinity is I think something about cheating, that when a girl cheats, it's because, I don't know, something about only guys cheat and girls don't. I don't know. I had to find a clip, but the first time I'll talk about them individually, but I really don't remember exactly what she said. I might pause and re-listen and just to see what she actually said, because this part I really don't know. But yeah. Okay, so I just listened to what she was saying. She basically said if a guy cheats or is interested in another person, it's because he's just cheating, basically. Like, that's kind of what she said. And if a girl cheats, it's because she's kind of not emotionally invested or getting what she emotionally wants in the relationship anymore. Whether it's the guy not doing what he used to do or not treating her the same way he used to treat her, whatever the scenario is. But I'll get to that probably second. So I think when it comes to the cat part, like, first of all, no one should be sending death threats or telling her like she should kill herself or stuff like that. Like I feel like that's way out of line for almost anything, especially some kind of like, I don't know. I'm not gonna go out too far fetched, but in general, for these situations and everything that she has done, at least these things that I'm listing right now and everything that I'm talking about, I feel like she doesn't deserve those type of threats, right? Like I think it's rare the kind of person that deserves those. Like they have to be like a really scummy human to deserve those type of like actual threats. Where I know people aren't actually gonna do anything, but threatening is still a threat, right? Like that's illegal. But anyways, whether you agree or disagreed about sending toxicity, like always going into her streams or her YouTube channel or her Twitter, Instagram, and just leaving toxic comments like I hate you or you should have never done this to your cat, this and that. Personally, I don't know if that's right or wrong. Like when it comes to morality, I can simply say for myself that, well, I mean, it is morally wrong. It feels morally wrong, and it doesn't feel like it should be acceptable. But on the other hand, it doesn't mean that there's anything inherently wrong with the concept of just expressing your opinions. But I've always felt that there's a way to express your opinions in a like actual way to criticize somebody and not just put somebody down. Like there's a difference between saying, I hate you, go die, and saying, okay, I dislike you because of this, and I hope maybe you figure out a way to change this part of you. And then again, it depends what you hate, because just because you hate something or the way someone is doesn't mean that like you're validated to hate somebody, right? Like it's okay if you hate somebody, but your reason is never going to be or always going to be the right reason. Like just because you hate someone for a certain reason doesn't mean everyone should hate that same person for the same reasons you hold true to yourself. Like we all have different perspectives and we see things from different points of views. So like that's your own kind of logic and whatever morality system you sort of built around yourself. And yeah, so like, but I don't know, like personally, I would never go to someone's chat or anything for that matter and just say negative things, right? Like if I ever had to criticize somebody, I would leave a comment and say, you know, I hate that you did this and hate that you did that and it sucks. Now, I'm not going to lie. Have I ever made fun of her like with friends and something? Yeah, I have, but it's not like I would ever do it like as intentionally to hurt her or say it on purpose to her, you know, but it's kind of like whenever it's like a meme, you know, sort of like for me, when I used to say like it's already old, but whenever like it happened, like someone in chat or Twitch would do something that now would like a lot of people would be like, oh, Alinity 2.0 and stuff like that. And to me, that's a whole different thing than being toxic, you know, like that's kind of taking what happened and turning it into a meme. And it's kind of like funny because someone else does it or whatever. Now, this doesn't justify what she did, right? Like, I don't know if she's sorry. I don't know if she's changed. I don't know if she's a better person. Like, we don't know what happens behind closed doors. We don't know what happens off stream. And when she's not around social media, whatever, we don't see. I think the problem is a lot of people, like, when it comes to online personalities, we're able to see what they're doing because they're live streaming or they're making videos almost 24/7. And there's obviously, we're going to see their mistakes. We're going to see everything that they're constantly doing a lot of the times. Now, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who've done this type of thing off a stream or off of recording. And it's like no one sees these things and they never get punished because no one ever sees them, right? Before I start talking about these topics, like I'll get back to the cat stuff, but I think one thing that's necessarily kind of confusing right now with like, I guess, I don't know if it's cancel culture or what you would call this, but like whenever, like example, Alinity did what she did, right? And people want her to apologize and people want her to be sorry. And in reality, you're never going to really know if someone's truly sorry to an extent, right? And I've always wondered, like, when people apologize, when it comes to like a big online entertainer or content creator, are they saying sorry because the people online pressure them into being sorry? but they never truly learn from their mistakes. And they don't even know what they did that's wrong, right? Like in their eyes, they did nothing wrong. But the feedback that they're getting from the community enables them to apologize. Now, the only reason they apologize is because of the community, right? And usually that's not how most people work. Like, to an everyday average person, we make mistakes. We either learn from them or we keep making them until someone calls us out, or maybe we figure it out on our own because of our consciousness or something that tells us like, oh, this is wrong or this is right. And we truly are sorry, and we kind of understand the concept or really what we did wrong because we have time to reflect on those things. But whenever it comes to people that are online, it's like, well, did they really learn their lesson? Or are they just saying sorry because everyone's pressuring them to say sorry? And in turn, they never truly see the mistakes that they made. They only see the outcome of the choice that they made because of everyone pressuring them to say sorry, and they want to keep a certain image. And I think it's okay to make like bad choices. It's not that it's a good thing, right? But a lot of the times we do things without thinking. We do things without thinking logically. We do it in the heat of the moment and we don't really mean to. Like maybe you accidentally hit your dog or your cat by mistake. Not when you step on them, but like not by mistake. But I mean, when you're like sort of not thinking, like there's people that have certain outbursts that you're sort of in the moment. I guess you can consider when gaming, when you're really into a game and all of a sudden maybe you're like a younger person and your parents call you and you get frustrated because they're distracting you. So you cuss at them or you yell at them, something that you would not normally do, but you were so focused on something else that you sort of just reacted instead of actually thinking logically about the situation. There's a lot of people that tend to do that. This could have been a situation where, you know, the cat was in front of her and she was trying to play the game and she just threw him. Doesn't mean it's right. No, it doesn't. But that does also, there's no excuse whenever she gave the cat vodka. Maybe she was unaware of what would actually happen, so she gave it to the cat. You know, I don't know. But there's been a lot of people don't know what you can and can't give cats and what you can and can't give dogs. Like they assume that having a pet is easy and all that stuff. And some people will say, oh, well, you should do research before you get a pet, which is very much true. But the way I got my pet wasn't because like it was sort of my choice. It kind of just fell into my laps, and along the way I ended up learning a lot. But that's a different story. Still, like, does it make it right? I don't know. Like, did she make a mistake? Yeah. Did she choose to make this mistakes? I don't know. It depends on what she knew and what her thought process was during the moments. But still, before, like I said, I keep getting off topic. There's a difference between actually being sorry or being pressured to be sorry. If you've ever been in a relationship and someone hurts you, or you've ever had some kind of friendship and they hurt you, or you hurt them and they say like, oh, I want you to apologize, and you say sorry, but only because they asked you to, and you hurt their feelings, so you're sorry, but you really, in reality, you don't understand what you did wrong. And you really don't know how to not do it again, because the apology you gave them wasn't because it came from you. It came because they asked you to give it to them, which is two different things, right? Like me saying sorry that I hit somebody versus me saying sorry because I acknowledge that I made a mistake and I know why I made that mistake in the first place. Then I can learn from it and not do that mistake, because now I know the reason why I made it, the reason why it hurt the person that it did, and the reason why it's bad to do it again. Not because someone told me to apologize, but because I actually figured out the reason why it was a bad choice to make. And a lot of the times it's really confusing. It's not that their apology is fake, right? But it's like they're sort of pressured into learning fast and they don't have time to reflect and actually learn, that people are just constantly bashing them. And they apologize. Like there's been a lot of apologies from all over YouTube and Twitch and just all over the internet. And sometimes I'm pretty sure people just apologize because they're pressured into doing it. And whether that's good enough for people, then I guess that's good enough. I don't know. I personally don't think it is. I think people need to learn from their mistakes and actually say why the mistake they did or the choice they made was a bad thing and how it affects like being a bad thing and why they made the choice in the first place. Like what was going through their mind at the time. Like a lot of people need to reflect on the choices that they make and sort of give a reason as to why or how their thought process was going through when they made that certain choice. But that's just my thought on that. So getting back to the cat, like I said, the whole vodka thing, she wasn't distracted, right? Like maybe she didn't know, maybe she wasn't aware of that situation. But here's where confuses me. Now, I know a lot of people are probably going to be mad at me, and that's totally fine. But I've known, like, I don't know how to put this. Okay. My only gripe is, yeah, she gave the cat vodka, but the cat is fine. Hopefully she doesn't do it anymore. She hasn't done it anymore, I hope. And she threw the cat behind her. Hopefully she doesn't do that anymore. Hopefully she hasn't done it. But like in both scenarios, the cat's fine. Does it make it right? No, but the cat is fine, and that's what's important. Did Alinity learn from her mistakes or her choices that she made? I don't know, but I hope that she did. My problem is a lot of people, this includes me, right? I don't think it's like being hypocritical or being hypocrites, because there's many forms to look at this. You can go the vegan route, right? Like, or you can even go like to people who breed animals and they sell them and like they kind of abuse them. But no one's saying that you don't care about those animals either. But the fact is, what Alinity did isn't as bad as what other people are doing, right? Does it justify her doing it? Of course not. That's not what I'm saying. But people should put their effort into stopping these like adoption things, not adoption, but the people who are breeding like animals in bad situations and like just getting rid of them whenever they don't sell and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of people who do that, or mistreating animals, like literally hitting them and mistreating them badly. Like that's one hypocritical thing that people do, and like what Alinity did wasn't as bad as them. And also when it comes to like, if you're not vegan, I'm not saying that you don't have compassion for animals, because like vegans will probably say otherwise, that it's not true. I'm not a vegan, but I do love animals, and people would question like, how can you love animals and not be vegan? And I asked myself this question, like, I think I can still be sympathetic towards, like, I don't want to get into the topic of vegan, not in this podcast. I have talked about it before in my other podcast, and feeling sympathetic towards animals and being a meat eater. Like, I hope one day, like, they're able to make, alternatives to meat that people, because I feel like the best way for people to I don't even want to talk about it right now, like, because this is going to be longer than what it's intended to. But still, like, it is sort of hypocritical, because, like, animals are all, like, a lot of them are hurt in bad situations, especially if you don't farm locally, or, I mean, if you don't shop locally and all that stuff, and all the animal stuff that they produce from these big factories are hurting the way animals do things. There's a lot of videos out there of how they treat them, and that's really bad, right? Maybe you don't care because it was for food, but I think in every country or every, like, place, it's different laws, and it's not like America's not like the only place that has, and these laws like apply by everywhere else are the same, because there's places that they do eat cats and they do eat dogs, and they don't eat cows, and like we eat cows, and it's just different stuff like that. So yeah, I get it, we're in America, what she did was wrong and all that stuff, and we treat dogs and cats like our own family, because they are. And I mean, I love my dog to death, and I'll do anything for her. And it's expensive sometimes when they get hurt and you worry about them. Like I said, I think you can still be sympathetic towards animals and still eat meat, but I hope things change one day for the better scientifically. But whatever. I don't know. Someone tweeted out, I wish I could remember exactly what they said, because I don't want to like just phrase it wrong, but it is to an extent, you have to think logically. It is to an extent like us being hypocrites for judging what Alinity did when we do like support by, eating meat, we do support the suffering of other animals. Now, whether you're okay with that, that's perfectly fine, but what I'm saying is what she did is not as bad as something else. But yeah, I get it. Maybe you're not trying to compare this to that, and that's perfectly fine. Like I said, it doesn't justify what she did. It doesn't make it okay. I think over time we're treating our animals better and better. Like there's a lot of people who are starting to have pigs as pets, So, and rabbits and lizards and snakes, like all types of animals they're having as pets. Right now, what's mainstream is just dogs and cats, but pigs are becoming a little bit more mainstream. Chickens are too. So, like over time, people are getting more like falling more in love with animals, and I don't know. Over time, we do get softer, I guess, as humans. But hey, I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't know. Still, like I said, I'm not vegan, and that's a whole different conversation. And I have talked about it before, and I'll probably talk about it again if you want to know my thoughts on that. But it's on my other podcast. So. Yeah, but I get it. She did it in the eyes of the internet and everyone was watching. So it's easy for people to judge her right away, even though we all make mistakes and we all make silly choices. Now, some people will say, well, just get off the internet if you can't handle the hate. And I guess that's true to an extent as well. Like, I don't know what to say to that because when I feel being like spreading hate, I don't want to say like just ban hate. But also to say that it's okay to put someone down consistently is kind of shitty, right? I don't know how many comments or how many messages she gets, and I could just say, I'll just block all of them, but it's probably hard if she gets spam with them. Like I've always been a person that I don't mind if I ever get hate or people like just criticize me in a like toxic way. Like would I be upset and will I cry? Of course. I mean, I'm an overly sensitive person. And I take things to heart, and sometimes I overanalyze things and take them like overboard for what they're not even meant to be. If someone says something, I overthink it and think they mean it in a dramatic way and that I did something wrong. I always feel like I did something wrong. But I would never want to stop somebody from expressing themselves. Now, if they're saying like death threats or some stupid stuff that it's just, I don't know, doesn't make sense to me. I'll just end up blocking them. Will I feel shit? Of course I will. Like, I know that I will because of how sensitive I am. So, I don't know. This is a complicated thing when it comes to toxicity online. So, for her to just stop doing what she's doing for a living because people are making it harder for her, I don't know. I mean, I don't think she should give up, but also it's bad for her mentality, always seeing these things. I mean, I wish her the best, honestly. So I want to get into the Alinity where she talks about the cheating stuff. The way, like the first time that I listened to the clip, I understood because I only saw that part. I understood it like she said something along like when guys cheat or are interested in another girl, it's because they cheated. And if a girl is interested in another guy, it means that she wasn't getting what she wants in the relationship emotionally and that there was something wrong with the relationship. It's the only reason that girls would be interested in someone else. Now, the first time that I seen this, I was like, so what she's trying to say is that guys cheat and girls don't? Which doesn't make sense because in both scenarios, it's technically cheating, but they're cheating for different reasons. Now, I think maybe her claim is true to where if this is what she meant, right? That, because I had to look deeper into it and watch a couple of other people's perspective on it. And a lot of people like gave her hate, but she really didn't explain too much. I don't know if she said anything after the clip or before. Like I said, this is like, it could be taken out of context where she said more stuff after, but she basically said that in the clip that was shown and that got on Reddit and YouTube and everything and got a lot of views. But the way I see it, like if you take it for what she said, that guys usually cheat, like not take it for what she says, but if you analyze it and sort of like, okay, guys do cheat. Why do guys cheat? Now, you cannot label people in the same category, but I guess for the majority, I feel like when a guy does cheat, it's not because he doesn't love the person that he's with. Like he usually cheats just because he's just bored of the sexual relationship with his partner. Like that's basically, he's not bored of the emotional relationship. He's not bored of being with that person. He's just simply bored of the sex. So he cheats. He wants something new, something fresh in his mind, something that he's never had. And that is cheating. But they are still emotionally in love with their spouse or with their significant other. Now, usually when a girl cheats, it tends to be because of what she said, right? Because the guy's not giving her enough attention. The guy's not being there for her. So she's getting that from someone else. So she's emotionally being detached from her main relationship and finding that emotional stability in someone else. Now, you can say one is worse than another, but I mean, they're both still cheating, right? Like the girl kind of moved on emotionally because you left her emotional needs out of the equation and you kind of stopped paying attention to her. And the guy moved on physically because maybe he wasn't getting certain things physically from his significant other. So he found it somewhere else, but he still wants the person, right? Like, I think they're two different cheatings, but they're still cheating, right? Like, they're both still messed up. But in one scenario, the guy is still, he still loves this girl. The girl, I don't know, when it comes to like emotions, I feel like if someone moves on emotionally, then you obviously don't love that person anymore. Like both scenarios are messed up. But I feel like the guy's still into his girlfriend while the girl is not into the boyfriend anymore because she literally emotionally moved on. But I think they're both still just as bad. And every scenario is different. It's not going to be like every guy that cheated because, they just wanted sex, or every girl that cheats just cheated because they were just not getting what they wanted emotionally. The relationship could be perfectly fine and they both just wanted they had other sexual interests, or they weren't getting their emotional needs from each other. I don't know. Regardless, it's both wrong. They're both cheating from my perspective. But I think that's kind of what she meant to say, that guys cheat because they're just attracted to someone else. And when girls cheat, it's because they're emotionally detached from the relationship because she wasn't getting enough attention or whatever emotional needs that she wanted from the person. She's not getting that anymore. But like at the end of the day, they're both cheating. And I think people consider it being as guys cheat, girls don't cheat, and if a girl cheats, it's the guy's fault. I think that's how most people interpret it. And when I listened to it, that's kind of how I acknowledged it in a sense. But I kept looking deeper into it and trying to see like ways of what she actually meant. I cannot know for sure if this is what she meant. But I mean, I've thought about this way before, like she even said this, that I do know that a lot, like, especially when I was in high school, a lot of guys would cheat simply because they will still love their girlfriends and they will feel guilty. But they were interested in other girls physically, but emotionally they still love their girlfriends. And when it came to the girl, I only had a few girlfriends, but like a few friends that were girls, and most of them they were just upset with their significant other and they moved on emotionally to someone else, which in turn they ended up leaving the guy eventually. When the guy, he never left the girl because he always wanted to be with her. But once the girl found out that he cheated, she left him and the relationship was over. But usually, like I said, those are kind of the differences. And yeah, I don't know. I consider both of them to be wrong, right? They're both cheating. It's just different levels. And I guess in one scenario, the one person still loves the other and the other one just kind of moved on. But I don't know. Communication is key, to be honest. So I guess the last thing that I wanted to talk about is the green card, marriage and divorce. Now, some people, like what she said, I think she was drunk because I saw her, she was drinking on this clip. But she said that she married a guy, she got her green card, whatever, and she divorced him. Like, it was a short clip. And then I looked for more clips and I saw another clip that said she told her mom if it was okay if she got married so she can get her green card or whatever because it's really hard to get it and it's really expensive. So, yeah, she made it seem like it was kind of a business transaction. So, now, I don't know the full story. So, it depends on how this went, right? But a lot of people also said that the guy cheated on her, right? And this whole thing or this whole clip really depends on what the truth is. But like, if it was already planned, her and the guy, they already discussed this, and the relationship was sort of fabricated, whatever. Is it illegal? Yeah, but at least they, like, more, I'm not talking about the illegal stuff. I'm talking about like morality wise. But morality, like morally, if they both kind of accepted this, then they're okay with it. Like, they did nothing wrong, right? Now, if Alinity used this person simply for the fact that because he was legal in the country that she's in, and all she wanted was one thing, I do feel like that's kind of emotionally manipulative somebody into getting what you want without even them ever knowing your true intentions. I feel like that is kind of messed up. And it doesn't, whether he cheated or not, it doesn't really matter, you know? Like, if she used him for that reason. Now, she actually was interested in this guy. She actually loved this person or whatever. And, you know, that was just a bonus thing. That's a whole different story, right? But I don't know the whole situation. I don't know what actually happened or what went down. If maybe like the green card wasn't in the back of her mind, but she was like, well, I'm getting married, so I love this guy, so I think he's going to be the one. I might as well marry him faster, and I get to get my green card faster. But maybe he ended up cheating, so she's like, well, there's no point in being with him. And yeah, I don't know. This can go many different ways, and it really depends on what the actual story is when it comes to this. So that, I mean, that's really all I have to say for this, right? Like, it's self-explanatory. Like, now whether you is illegal, then yeah, I mean, you could look at it that way if it was fabricated on a lie. But morally, it's really up to the individuals if they think that it's morally wrong to do that. But yeah, that's basically it. I talked about the cats, talked about the green card, talked about the Alinity cheating, the guys cheating versus girls cheating. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I mean, does she deserve all the hate that she's getting? I don't think she should be getting hate. I think she should be getting criticized. And there's a difference between being super toxic and actually criticizing somebody. Like, if you're constantly bashing somebody, they're never going to learn their mistakes, right? Like, you're simply saying you're a trash human for throwing your cat. Why don't you actually critique her and tell her why it's bad to do that? Tell her why you think it's bad to do that. Show her with, like, make her understand, right? And like, if you are constantly bashing someone, they're never going to want to see your perspective. It's like, kind of like vegans. Whenever vegans are sort of arguing or yelling, or anyone that disagrees with you on a certain point, whenever someone yells at you, it just makes you less inclined to listen to them because all they're doing is being rude and toxic. Now, does it change the fact that something is a fact? That what she did is still wrong? But still, what I'm saying is simply being sympathetic and try to understand that people listen more when you actually criticize and not just yell. Like, I get it. Like, a lot of us are emotionally invested into what we see, and we get disappointed whenever we see certain things. And I'm not defending her. I'm not saying that what she did was right, but I feel like she suffered long enough mentally. Like, I think mentally, as humans, that's one of the worst things to suffer through, is kind of like having a mental barrier emotionally and all that. Like, that's, if you've ever had any sort of depression, anxiety, whatever, it's really hard. Like, it's just as bad as physical pain, right? You know, and we don't know what anyone goes through at the end of the day. But I mean, really, it's up to you. You choose to be toxic, choose to not be toxic. I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do, but I'm just simply giving my perspective on that. I feel it's unnecessary to go a certain distance. It's just like The Last of Us 2, the voice actress and a lot of the voice actors are getting a lot of hate and death threats. And it's kind of like, they didn't write the game. They didn't create the game. All they did was voice act the characters. Like, they literally had nothing to do with how the game story was. Yet you're flaming them for what? Like, that's not criticizing. You're just being hateful. You know, yeah, I get you. Maybe you're passionate about a game, but you're that passionate that you put the lives of someone else down, or you put the lives of fictional characters over the lives of actual real human beings. I don't know how that works, but hey, there's a lot of things that I'll never understand how people are or why people do the things that they do. And there's a lot of reasons why we may not ever understand. But that's all I really wanted to touch on. I'm pretty sure I missed a couple of things and I probably didn't say a lot of things the way I wanted to say them. It's almost 4 a.m. I'm sort of tired. Hopefully I can go to bed. But that's really what I wanted to talk about right now. And I wish her the best. I hope she did learn. And it doesn't mean that I kind of like, okay, I'm okay with what she did, but it doesn't mean I'm also going to go out of my way and tell her that she's a shit human, because I don't think she's a shit person, but she did do some shitty things. And I don't know, maybe there's a point where in some people's eyes, when you do something shitty that they kind of like, just because I consider something shitty doesn't mean someone else may not consider this thing shitty. They may consider it like their top level of shit, right? Like maybe a vegan freaking hates her. Maybe someone who loves cats freaking despises her, right? Like I personally, I don't know. We all have like, we put different levels. Like I put my family over my animals. Like that's just the reality for me. Like I consider my dog my family, but like if I had to choose, I would choose my family, like my parents. If there was a reason to choose, why would there be a reason? I don't know. But that's just me giving an example. Or like, so people have like categories of level of sympathy towards something or something that they're super passionate about. So maybe a lot of people are passionate about cats, and since Alinity did this, they really hate her. And I'm not saying don't hate her. You're allowed to hate her. You're allowed to criticize her. But to say hate or be on her stream and just putting her down constantly, it's not, I don't think it's a good thing. Like criticize her once, move on, and just get her out of your life, because you don't really need to pay attention to her, right? If she does something illegal or something bad, take it up with the community and the police or whatever and try to get her to not own pets anymore, whatever the situation may be. Oh, another thing that I want to touch on before I get off. The whole ban thing, like a lot of people are mad because she doesn't get banned. What never made sense to me is why people blame her when it's not even her fault, right? Like, okay, let's just say she slept with somebody at Twitch, right? Which she said is not true, but let's just say she slept with somebody. She was in a relationship with somebody at Twitch. At the end of the day, if that was true, it's still not her fault that Twitch doesn't ban her. Like they're choosing to not ban her for one reason or another. Now, if she is blackmailing them with something, then it is messed up. Then it is wrong. And I think that's illegal. I'm not sure. But it is wrong if she's doing it, morally speaking. But if she's in a relationship with someone and she had like some sexual interactions with someone from Twitch that's higher up, regardless of any of that, if she's not blackmailing them, it's still not up to her whether she gets banned or not. If someone's thinking with their dick instead of with their head and they don't ban her, that's none of Alinity's business, right? Like she does nothing. From my perspective, it's like she did nothing. It's the people who are in charge's fault. And I don't get why she gets hate over this when you should probably be tweeting at Twitch, spamming them emails, or whoever, the CEO of Twitch, whatever, whoever you want, but someone at Twitch, you should just be spamming them instead of Alinity. Like Alinity has no say in who gets banned, who doesn't get banned, or what happens. But for some reason, she's like the scapegoat for this. Yeah, does she not get banned for a lot of things that I feel like is hypocritical when other people get banned? Hell yeah. I mean, we've seen it time and time again that she seems to not get banned for whatever reason. The only reason that I will accept, I guess, unless I think of something else, but the only reason that I will not accept, is if she's blackmailing somebody. Like if she is blackmailing somebody, then I have no respect for her, and that's kind of like, that's just messed up. And yeah, she is doing wrong. But if she's not doing that, there's no other reason that it should be her fault, right? Like, it's Twitch responsibility to ban who they see deserves to be banned. Whether they have a relationship with somebody or not, it's still Twitch's choice. Like if I was in a relationship with someone at Twitch and they choose not to ban me because they were in love with me or lusting over me, that's still not my fault. I'm not telling them to not ban me. They're banning me because they're not thinking as a business company they're thinking with their sexual urges or their lust or their love, and they're blinded by all this, that's still not my fault because I'm not bringing it up. I'm not telling them, they should treat me like everybody else on the platform. So I still think Twitch should be the ones getting hate and not Alinity when it comes to that. But that's just my point of view. If you disagree, that's fine. But at least have a counter argument as to why, just to get an understanding of what your thought process is of why you blame Alinity. Like, I don't blame her for this, but that's just my way of thinking. Unless I see another reason to actually blame her, but I don't know. Like if she's blackmailing them. But anyways, that's all I have to say. So I'm gonna see if I get some sleep. I'll probably just upload this right away, just so I can move on. But yeah, and then I'll go to bed. But hopefully everyone's having a lovely day or night, actually, or morning, whatever. And I'll talk to you next time.